In the U.S., a second whistleblower has come forward in the impeachment inquiry against U.S. President Donald Trump. No details have been released about this second whistleblower's claims, but his lawyer, Mark Zaid, says he's an intelligence official with first-hand information about Mr. Trump's dealings with Ukraine.
Mr. Zaid also represents the first whistleblower whose complaint about a phone call between Mr. Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky kicked off the ongoing inquiry in the U.S. House of Representatives.
The complaint details how Mr. Trump pressured Ukraine to dig up dirt on former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter, who sits on a board of a Ukrainian energy company. Mr. Biden is a strong Democrat contender for the 2020 presidential election.
And for more, let's cross over to Simon Marks in Washington, D.C. Simon, what does the emergence of a second whistleblower mean for President Trump?
Look, it's very important, Steve, because President Trump, as you know, has been dismissing the first whistleblower as a hoax whistleblower, insisting that the whistleblower should be unmasked, that that particular whistleblower's complaint is based entirely on hearsay, that he or she did not witness the telephone call on July the 25th between President Trump and President Zelensky, but merely heard reports of it from half a dozen White House insiders who told the whistleblower of the attempts to cover up the conversation and lock down records pertaining to it. This second whistleblower will be much harder for the president to try and discredit, because we are told that he or she has direct information about the call and possibly also about the cover-up that now two whistleblowers allege was taking place within the White House with regard to the efforts that President Trump made to get President Zelensky to dig up some dirt on Joe Biden, the Democratic Party's current frontrunner in the race to be Donald Trump's challenger in November 2020. So harder this time round for the president to talk about the second whistleblower as being a hoax whistleblower, but he is already attacking the whole notion of all of these whistleblowers once again on Twitter here this morning as Monday gets underway.
Simon, both practically and politically speaking, Congress knows that the clock is ticking on it, though. How should we expect this inquiry to progress from here on in terms of these investigations?
It's likely to move pretty quickly, and that's for a couple of different reasons. First of all, Democrats now firmly believe they've got a huge head of steam behind them, especially after President Trump took to the South Lawn of the White House last week and publicly invited not just Ukraine, but also China to interfere in the 2020 presidential election, which Democrats say is absolute clear evidence of illegal conduct on the part of the presidency. But they're also eager to get this done because the Democrats know that public patience with this impeachment inquiry is not limitless, and they want to get on with the business of campaigning for the 2020 elections on the issues that they care about. And you can see that if you take a look at Joe Biden's Twitter feed. There is evidence that Joe Biden and many others within the party don't quite know how to deal with Donald Trump and this impeachment issue. Joe Biden will occasionally tweet and push back at Donald Trump over the allegations that he's made that Joe Biden and his son Hunter received payoffs from the governments of Ukraine and China, completely unsubstantiated allegations by the President of the United States. But then equally, Joe Biden will start talking about prescription drug prices and the need for gun control and infrastructure programs and some of the issues that he really would much rather talk about on the campaign trail. That's one of the reasons why the Democrats are going to move quickly, I think, to get this done and put it in the hands of the United States Senate, where Republicans have a majority and President Trump's Republican colleagues will ultimately determine the fate of his presidency.
All right, Simon, thank you very much for that. Simon Marks there reporting for us from Washington, D.C.